Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Drama Study Podcast. In this episode, I'm going to be doing the final review of Our Unwritten Soul. I'm just giving like my final impressions about this drama, what I thought about it now that I've watched episode 11 and 12. Generally, I will just say to start that I enjoyed this drama thoroughly. It had my attention from the very beginning to the very end. And this drama wrapped up nicely. So yeah, let's talk about the last two episodes and then I'll give my kind of final thought about this. At the beginning of episode 11, we see that Hosu is having issues with his ears and it seems like it's getting worse, right? So he's relapsing or something of the sort, right? And this is something I guess he's not had in a long time, right? And this is a shock to him and this kind of like freaks him out, right? And it kind of, I feel like it ruins everything for him in that moment. Like it's something that, he's not able to deal with easily, right? Because it's such a traumatic thing. And him thinking that it's very possible that he loses all his hearing abilities is just like the worst, right? And so he immediately like closes off, right? It takes a while for him to tell Miji, but he does tell her and wants to break up with her because of this, right? And Miji not understanding or not knowing what to say to comfort him or to reassure him, kind of just lets it happen, right? But as we see that Miji is for life. She's always been there for him since he was young and she will always continue to be there for him. Right. And so it was good to see them kind of walk through that and him being selfish just for a moment, right? Just he be selfish about her and kind of burden her with that, right? And recognizing that love is not about just the good times, it's about the bad times as well, right? And so I like how they were able to come to a good place on that and arrive like understanding this is part of like the whole thing, right? And so I really like that about this. I like that we got that and helped kind of close that chapter, even though it's something that's ongoing, but we're still able to see them kind of grow and understand each other more. So I really like that. For Mireille, I will say that she also grew in these last two episodes. I will say it's a little more dramatic because I think that leading up to this point, she still struggled up to like last episode, right? Episode 10. Where I feel like it's not until she had that like encounter with a former colleague that it kind of like spurred her into action, right? So while I would say that Mireille's journey is good to see, I felt like it could have been something they built more towards, right? And I felt that like I wish they had shown us like more moments where she had that like understanding and being more comfortable and not fearing as much. But again, I still understand it. She has more support now and so she was able to pull through, which is kind of what helps a lot of people when they're going through a lot of like trauma and like abuse and everything like she was, right? And so it's good to see her like have that moment where she grows and is able to like face everything, right? It's funny because I felt like she was even appearing a little like Miji in the final episodes because she just had that like strength to her, like colleagues gossiping did not matter to her at all. And so I really liked that we got to see her like that. One thing I will say is that there's a scene where we see one of our colleagues, one of the women, come and tell her that she's sorry that she was not able to like speak up more for her, right? And this is when she's exiting, I think, the building. And I have to say that is the same colleague that has been watching the others like badmouth her throughout, right? And I don't like that about drama sometimes, that they will like do a 180 on a character and have them be completely different from what they were before, just to tie up the story well and make everybody good at the end of it, right? It's actually very annoying. So I did not really like and I did not appreciate that she came on. I was like, oh yeah, sorry I never spoke up for you. Like that's kind of a cop out, especially if you were there throughout the whole process and you saw what was happening and you just like kind of kept quiet and maybe even added to the conversation. And I hope it's not the same person that I'm thinking about. But yeah, that was one thing I was like, that's odd, right? On the other side of that, is the character of Osu's former boss, right? That's a character that I feel like did better with. Even though his change was kind of a 180 for me, because he went from defending like Mire's company, and threatening Rosa, to like supporting Hosu and being the one to even start representing Rosa at the end, just because Osu asked. But I'm able to forgive that, because I feel like we saw a little bit more of his personality throughout, and we saw that he cared about Hosu. He had some guilt about some of the things he was doing. And so I wasn't feeling too bad when they kind of made that swap or that switch in his character, right? And so yeah, I really like that they showed him as kind of on the right side, or just willing to do something for Hosu, right? Just because I think he actually really likes Hosu, and he considers him like someone that he trusts and, respects in a way. And there's something that they always do when they want to like make someone like a bad character like appear good, when they're like asking for forgiveness, is that, or just like changing the personality of a character that has been bad throughout, they will have them wear white. And that's something I've noticed a lot, and it happens here too. Also, someone of us wears white when he comes to see Osu, and also like tells him to please represent Rosa, right? And I'm just like, I guess. But yeah, moving on to Rosa herself, I think that she had a good arc. I like how she went from someone that could not read to deciding to, go to some classes and understand how to read, just so she can like understand what her best friend wrote in her poems, right? And I think that's really sweet, and that's just lovely. Rosa's story is easily like my favorite. Like Rosa and her friend's story is like my favorite of this whole drama, I think, because there's just something timeless and beautiful about it. And so I just liked seeing, her grow and, have closure regarding our friend in a way, right? So I really like that as well. Same with, I would say, Mire and Miji's mom. She also had closure with her own mom, and they kind of like bonded and were able to talk through. And even though the grandma did pass at the end, you still had that closure with the daughter, and it was very, very sweet. And yeah, I feel like all the characters had good closure. Another one that's like a favorite of mine, and I think the one that really spoke to me in this last episodes, was Hosu and his mom, right? Her love for Osu is one of the strongest things I've ever seen, and it's so beautiful. I like the scene where, she's basically yelling on Osu and explaining that, all this time she's been living for him. So him thinking that he doesn't want to burden her comes almost from a place that he does not believe they're really related. I don't know. I know that's a very odd idea, but it's kind of true. Like, you're more willing to burden someone that you know and know they like almost don't have a choice when it comes to helping you, as opposed to someone you feel kind of indebted to because they are doing something for you they don't have to do. So I like how she really broke down and explained to Hosu, and got him to see that they only have each other at this point, right? And that like she is here for him, right? Like she lives for him, right? And that was the most beautiful scene, I think, in the last episode. It was just, I don't know, there's something about it that I like how they managed to come and grow as like mother and son, right? Even though the person that tied them together is no longer there. And yeah, that's just something that I think this drama was very good at doing, right? Building that relationship between the mother and son, and getting also to kind of like accept his mom, and recognize her as a mom. So yeah, I really, really like that. I really like that they had that moment together, because I think Hosu needed that. He needed to know that there are people still in his life that love him. And I'm glad that, we got that as well. For Mire and Sejin, it's interesting because I actually thought their relationship would be romantic earlier, and it doesn't actually ever really reach that point. It does, it is, but not in the way I thought it would be. I think that Sejin actually represents almost comfort and like almost like a tall tree, right? That's like there to kind of shield Mireille. And I think that their relationship would have actually been nice to see more of and to see grow. But we are already done with this drama, and it ends the way it ends. But I would have liked to kind of see their relationship grow even more because they understand each other well. They are similar kinds of people, have similar hobbies, and so they'll get along very well. And so I like how their relationship actually progressed. It wasn't necessarily like highly, highly romantic, but honestly, this is actually the kind of romance I like in real life, in terms of like if I'm being realistic. Mireille and Sejin have like there's this good understanding of one another that is beautiful to watch, and I I like it very much. I like when you are with someone and they just kind of know what you're thinking. You don't have any stress about like, oh, what are they doing? Um, do they still love me? Things like that. Because that's your person, right? And I feel like Sejin slowly became that for Miri, someone that she trusts and she knows will never let her down, right? And I think that's amazing. I also liked how Mireille understood that she does not necessarily need to go back to the corporate world. She needs to take that time and rest and do something else. As someone that works in a corporate adjacent world, it's actually very exhausting. To climb the ladder is very, very exhausting. To be competitive is very, very exhausting. And some days I'm just like, can I just like stock shelves? And it's not like from a place of, that's just mindless. Well, it is, let's be honest. But it's the sense that you don't need to like necessarily like build this relationship. You don't need to appeal to anybody. You just go in, clock in, do your work, listen to music maybe, and you just clock out, right? It's not necessarily a world where you have to like go to dinners, talk about like goal setting and stuff like that, like things like that. Just like it's exhausting, right? And so I understand how Mireille wanted to leave that all behind, especially after she dealt with her colleagues at that workplace. I like how she just realized that this isn't really for me, right? And I like how she's like, okay, I'll just like open a blog because it's things like this that's her real interest. She used to follow Sejin's blog because that is what she likes. So I really like that she had that. I came to understand herself a bit more. The one girl that actually really wanted to be in Seoul and really wanted to like work, and exist in this world is Miji. And I like how she gets to do something like that. She's going to college and growing as a person and just fulfilling herself first. And I like how Hosi is like there and he understands that and he's willing to wait for her to do that and just be with her in that moment, because again, they are still together. So yeah, I really liked how this old drama ended. It was a little fast coming from episode 10 to 11 and seeing the bad guys get their comeuppance quickly, but I think this story is more about watching our characters grow and understand that like there's more to life, there's more to how they are living and growing their friendship, growing relationships. And it's been beautiful to watch, honestly. This drama is actually really, really good, and I applaud all the actors. I applaud the director, the writer. Park Go Young, I don't have a bad thing to say about you. You're amazing. I think that she played Miji and Mireille so well, and all the other actors in this as well. It's just fantastic. So yeah, I love this drama. I think it's good. I think everyone should watch it at least once. It kind of reminds me of Liberation Notes. If you've ever seen that, in that like I feel like the main character in Liberation Notes reminds me a lot of Mireille. And so yeah, if you like this drama, I think you will like that too. But yeah, that's kind of all I have to say about this drama. Again, I think it was awesome. So yeah, great run. I loved it very, very much, and I assume you guys did too. But yeah, let me know what you think though. So yeah, that's all I have to say. Thank you guys so much for listening to this episode. I hope you guys have a lovely rest of your week. Bye.